I think the most important thing about the Hizmet movement and the Gulen movement is its openness and willingness to listen and talk and embrace other people. In Jackson, Mississippi, and other parts of the South, the Hizmet expert at all on the Hizmet movement schools. However, I very much My name is James Bowley, and I am a professor and chair of religious studies at Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi. I got to know the Hizmet movement in part by studying Islam as part of my job. I'm a teacher of world religions and also ancient religious movements. And then when I moved to Jackson, I got to know what was at the time called the Institute of Interfaith Dialogue. And through those people, I got to know the Hizmet movement more intimately and went to Turkey and have been studying it and participating in lots of interfaith dialogue exchanges because of that for the last dozen years or so. What I see in that movement is a world education movement and a movement that is trying to bring people together from lots of different places, intellectual places, religious places, and geographic places, trying to bring them together in the world for the purpose of seeking peace, for the purpose of understanding each other, and for the purpose of education. To be very honest, before I moved here, I had not read much about Mr. Gulen, but I started to read him more, and one of the things I appreciated about him was that he is a scholar or educator first. So being an educator, I guess I'm prone to appreciate that, but his movement does not stem just from politics or even just from religious fervor. It's more a movement that comes out of an educational basis. And so reading some of his works about Sufism, reading about his educational priorities are things that really made me appreciate him in many ways. So I was prepared to think, okay, I think this is a person who personally and also whose movement is one about education and understanding, and I am all for that. I am not an expert on Turkish politics or on global politics as they involve Turkey and all the things that are going on in that part of the world. So I won't claim to know a lot about that. And I know that the Hizmet movement is very active in Turkey. However, what I do know is the ways in which the Hizmet movement is active in the United States. And I know somewhat about the general overall goals of the Hizmet movement outside of the United States. So it seems to me that as the Hizmet movement grows out of Fethullah Gulen's understanding of Islam, which has a historical basis in Sufism and all of the learning that took place and in the tradition of Sufism for many, many centuries, it seems to me that the main contributions of Fethullah Gulen have been to promote the idea that education is extremely important in Islam, the idea that love is extremely important in Islam, and I don't mean some flaky, easy kind of love, but a deep spiritual kind of love. He has definitely promoted that idea within Islam, and also the idea that people from all traditions should talk and understand and accept each other. Those three ideas, I think, are hugely important, not just in Islam, they're hugely important in all religious traditions, and he has been the champion of those ideas in Islam, but also outside of Islam. I particularly appreciate the Hizmet movement for these reasons. As with all large religious traditions, there are different interpretations of sacred text. There are different streams of traditions that develop over time. The same is true in Judaism, in Christianity, in Hinduism, and all large religious movements. In Islam, in our day, many people are not aware, as they should be, of the large tradition of Sufism and how Sufism is a strain, a tradition within Islam that is different than, say, Salafism or many of the other traditions in Islam, such as Wahhabism. So many people know of those ideas, but don't know of this strong, large tradition within Islam that is Sufism. And it seems to me that the Hizmet movement, coming out of Gulen's understanding of Islam, and as he has brought Sufism into the modern world, I think he is, in some ways, the best and most prominent representative of that line of tradition within Islam. And I think that line of tradition within Islam is one that provides the best ways for people in other traditions who are also open to understanding and accepting people of different religious traditions. So I think that it is very good for people in many countries to learn about Islam. Of course, people should learn about all forms of Islam, but this is a form of Islam that more people should learn about, and they don't know about enough yet. But hopefully through the Hizmet movement, they will learn more and more. I think the most important thing about the Hizmet movement and the Gulen movement is its openness and willingness to listen and talk and embrace other people, to bring people together regardless of their differences and try to understand and help each other, and in fact to engage in community building with people who are very different, so that people can understand that we can love and accept and help people who are even different than us, because it's actually in our best interest if our communities thrive, instead of dividing up into small groups and not talking to people who might think differently than us. It provides a wonderful example to people in all religious traditions, an example of openness, an example of embracing of difference. I will say that in Jackson, Mississippi, and in other parts of the South in the United States, the Hizmet movement has been taking a leadership position in this, what I deem as an extremely important aspect of our community understanding and building of good relations between different religions and people across many communities. And the Hizmet movement in Jackson, for example, when I came here 13 years ago, it has become the leading movement within Jackson, Mississippi that promotes interreligious dialogue and understanding. It's the activities of the Hizmet movement, or the interfaith dialogue movement of the Turkish Raindrop House, that has become the centerpiece for interreligious and interfaith understanding. And I can only applaud that. And as an academic, I have often participated in those activities, and many of my students have gone to those as well. And it seems to me this serves a major educational service, which of course is what Hizmet means. And that is, in fact, exactly what we need in our world. We need more understanding. We need more interaction with people of different religions and people of different understandings of the world and how it works. And so the Hizmet movement has provided, I think, the best example for us here, right here on the ground in Jackson, Mississippi. So I think that Hizmet, in its emphasis on education, is one, being true to the movement's history and origin. Many of the earliest Sufis were people who brought education not just to the rich and the people who were successful, but education on a broad, popular basis. Education and learning was important to Sufis from the very beginning. Secondly, it seems to me that in our culture and world situation, education and understanding is of primary importance right now. There are many groups who are not trying to understand others. Instead, they're building walls between themselves and others. And I think Wahhabis and Salafists are some of those. And there are other groups like that within Christianity and within Judaism and with other religions. So those are the groups that are trying to build walls between themselves and others and not trying to educate their children about other groups. Whereas the Hizmet movement is saying, no, everybody needs to try to understand and try to get along with other people. And the best way we can do that is to live with other people and to attempt to understand how they think. And the more we can do that, the better it will be for world peace. As an educator, I've had many of my students who have engaged with different events that have been sponsored by the Interfaith Dialogue movement here in Jackson. And so for many of those students, because they've grown up in rural Mississippi or somewhere in Mississippi or Alabama or Louisiana, where they haven't had first initial contact with any Muslims, many times the first time that they get to engage with a Muslim is at an interfaith dialogue event. And then, because of that event, they will then seek out a Muslim student at my college just to get to know them. So I have had numerous students who, because of the interfaith dialogue movement, have had their first interaction, face-to-face interaction with other Muslims. And that interaction has been so good for them, and it has changed their perceptions. Because before, their perceptions came from other major media or some other speaker or somebody from their past who had a very negative interpretation. Whereas now they've spoken with Muslims face-to-face, they've seen their programs, they've seen what the Hizmet movement does, and now they're more than willing to seek out Muslim friends at school. So what I've appreciated the most is how the Hizmet movement in my own city has changed people's attitudes on a very personal level and shown my non-Muslim students what other real Muslims are like. And that's been a very good thing to see, and it's been very good for my students as well.
Mr. Gulen is a remarkable human being who came from comparatively humble background.
I see Mr. Gulen someone who inspires people to truly love one another, to do good in the world, to do the best work they can do for what they are called to do.